Bad news for U.S. steel workers in Michigan and Indiana. So now it's being reported by Reuters that U.S. Steel, which is the name of a company, will reportedly lay off about 200 workers at a plant in Michigan. This is the E-Course plant, and that's just one of the two blast furnaces that are having their operations suspended by the U.S. steel manufacturer. Now, the other one, of course, is in Gary, Indiana. So now, what's happening, right? Why aren't these people going to work? Well, it turns out that low steel prices and reduced demand are making it so that they don't need steel. So they're going to obviously lay off these workers. Now, look, I've worked in the factory scene before, so I understand that somewhere around midsummer, usually there's a bit of a slowdown, but it is actually approaching the end of the summer, and so, that's not good. That's actually a little bit of uh, again, a little bit of a disaster, and not a good sign for the economy. And look, we are talking about a possible incoming recession related to the trade war with China. And actually, this I think plays into that. Now, Reuters doesn't talk about it, but I can definitely draw a couple of parallels here, or draw some lines in between. Um, and that, of course, they do say that the announcement comes amid the Trump administration's trade war with China. They do mention that, um, with the White House initially touting rises in domestic steel prices after the initial round of tariffs. So now the whole purpose, I guess, behind the tariffs is, oh, let's just make more steel at home. Okay, and for a short time, domestic steel prices did go up, and then it went down. Now, apparently, according to the article, domestic prices have fallen steeply as supplies improve and demand decreases. Now, why is demand decreasing? So now that's interesting, right? It's an interesting question. Well, that's also related to the trade war. Turns out farm machinery and automobile industries have scaled back buying domestic steel, which right now, thanks to the tariffs, is cheaper than foreign steel. So now, how is that related to the trade war? Well, there are farmers in the Midwest that no longer are looking into buying new equipment because since China has decided to buy, and this really affects a lot of soybean farmers, which is the biggest crop that we used to export to China. Well, now they don't have markets anymore, and they're like, "Why are we going to get new equipment, or upgrade or replace our equipment if we don't have a market to sell to?" Well, no, that'd be completely idiotic. So no, we're not going to buy new equipment. That again drives down demand for steel, and it has a ripple effect in the economy. Now, you also have the automobile industry, which is facing not quite as much of a similar thing, but they've also been impacted. You have, for example, GM that shut down its Lordstown plant just recently. So they're not making cars anymore. And there's lots of different factors, of course, involved in that. Rising SUV sales and truck sales, etc. And less sales of sedans, things like that. And of course, people are interested in, I think, foreign cars. So you've also got a lot of those factors, and not only that, but you've got huge personal debt. And I reported the other day that American personal debt is about $14 trillion, right? So that includes mortgages, student loans, credit cards, as well as auto loans, right? So the economy has shown some indications that it's going to go into a recession. So if you're worried about going into a recession, you don't go out and buy a new car. No, you hold on to your car for as long as you can until the economic outlook looks better. And look, what we're doing as an economy is coming off the Trump sugar high from the Trump and Republican tax cuts. So 83% of those tax cuts, the gains went right to the top 1%, to the richest corporations, etc. There were some temporary tax cuts for the middle class and the working poor, or I'm sorry, working class, and they didn't amount to nearly as much. People barely notice it on their paychecks. So they're not going out and buying new cars. Again, you got student loan debt. People aren't going out and buying new cars, new houses. So you have slowing demand on that. So all of this is related to the kind of policies that the Republicans are putting. So am I surprised that there is less demand, that there are more layoffs? Not at all. This is what happens when you have an economy that is running out of steam. And that's what you get when you're under Republican policies, where they think, well, they don't actually think this, but they want you to think that, oh no, tax cuts for the rich, they solve everything. It's going to trickle down to you. In reality, the only thing that's trickled into is their pockets. It comes from the rich and then gets given to the politicians in independent expenditures and campaign contributions to these politicians. So, as a reward for lowering their taxes, it's a good return on investment. You give a few $1,000s or a couple $1,000,000 to a politician or political action committee, and you save billions of dollars over a decade. I mean, that is a great return on investment. That's where their money goes. Their money also went into stock buybacks. In fact, here's the irony, right? And I know we're talking about steel, right? Irony, steel, whatever. Now, both Gary, Indiana, and the state of Indiana have given the U.S. Steel millions in tax breaks to restore the plant. Now, it was on the condition that the company keep at least 3,875 jobs at the plant. So, what are they doing? Well, they're also laying people off. Yeah. So, I guess now that they got the money, and we saw this with Carrier as well, well, that's it. I mean, you got the money, and now you're going to run. Well, that's what happens every single time. And so that's a disastrous hit to Indiana. It's a disastrous hit, of course, to Michigan as well, which has been under decline. Even under Republican and Democratic administrations, you've had this issue with Michigan and the manufacturing base not being, or the economic mix in the state not being diverse enough to be able to weather a hit. Great recession comes, and boom, the market just bottoms out, and so do the cities. So disaster, right? And here's the thing too. Let me give you one more amazing stat about how bad it's actually gotten. So one of the things that U.S. Steel does is that they do hot rolled coil steel. That's hot rolled coil, right? That the price of that has fallen 37% since its high in 2018. So it appears the tariffs really aren't working very well. Now, United Steelworkers official told the news service again that not only are they laying up people off in Michigan, as I mentioned, but also in Indiana, in Gary, Indiana. So, look, this is again a disaster, absolute disaster. So, my question is, do you guys feel like you're winning? Trump supporters in Indiana, Trump supporters in Michigan, are you winning yet? No, the only people that are winning right now are corporations. The only people winning right now are CEOs and executives and high paid politicians who take bribes, legal bribes from these corporations and executives. Those are the only people winning right now in the Trump economy. You are not. Sure, you could be like, well, I'm paying less taxes. Oh, right. But that doesn't really matter because I just got laid off. So there's that. And of course, being laid off, unemployment has a lot of new restrictions on it, or old restrictions, I should say. Just a lot of restrictions, period. You also have food stamps, which is being cut under the Trump administration to the tune of billions of dollars. So you have a safety net that is being shredded as we speak and has been shredded over the last not just 3 years, but quite some time, actually, again, under both Republican and Democratic administrations, where you have a lot of people who, unfortunately, in the Democratic Party have been buying into Republican talking points about poverty, about what we're supposed to do, and think that, oh, no, if we just give people tax credits instead of giving them a hand up, well, then that's going to solve their problem. No, no, no. No, not at all. Not at all. So, again, disaster. This is what happens when you let again, Republicans and corporate Democrats continue to run and to not have an actual progressive economy, you end up with disaster like this. And so I hope it gets better for the workers, but I don't really see that happening. Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm gonna have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent progressive media.